Hello everyone and welcome back to JB Soul Gaming. Sorry we haven't done a Warframe video in a while. There will be more videos coming. I've been playing Magic the Gathering Arena, but there are quite a few updates coming. The orb fights are coming eventually, pretty soon here I believe, but this video specifically is going to be talk about the vaulting and then the new Prime Access coming on December 18th, so not that long from now. First of all, what is going away that you will no longer be able to get relics for? Well, the things you see on screen right now, Banshee Prime will be going away. And I do want to point out, if you have any relics that have Banshee Prime parts in it, you will keep those relics. You can hang on to them. That's not an issue. But you will not be able to get more relics with any parts for Banshee Prime in them. Also, Euphona Prime, a very popular sidearm, will be going away. And Helios Prime. So Helios is the one that's going to give you scans and things like that. Can be pretty useful, help you fill out your codex, and overall a pretty good sidekick in my opinion. Obviously, I still prefer bringing carrier or, depending on the situation, what I want to bring, but Helios is one I've used quite a bit, so I definitely suggest right now, if you want to get a hold of these things and you don't have them yet, go farm the relics for them, because they're going away on the 12th, because we are going to get a new Prime Access. Now, the current Prime Access is with Chroma Prime, and it's also where you can get Rubico Prime and Gram Prime. I do want to point out that those relics will not be going away. You just will not be able to buy the Prime Access for them anymore. Now, what is coming out? What is the new Prime Access going to be? Well, I'm going to be blunt. This is the one I am the most excited about that I have seen yet. Drum roll, please. Alright, so the new Prime Access is going to include Mesa Prime, one of my most played and favorite Warframes, Akjagara Prime. Now this is a weapon that some people hate, some people love. I recently saw somebody ask in our guild chat, is Akjagara a good weapon? And I didn't know how to answer. I love it. It's a weapon that I actually enjoy quite a bit. And I'm really interested in seeing what improvements will be made on the Prime version. We do know it's going to look really nice. And Redeemer Prime. This is a gun blade, so both of these have blades on them, although you can't melee with this. And the Redeemer is interesting in that you can, of course, not only use it as a melee weapon, but also fire it like a shotgun. So these are all things I am very much looking forward to. Some people may not be excited about the Akjagara, but I really am. So this is going to be the next Prime Access that will be available. And for those of you interested, we are going to jump into the simulacrum and kind of show off what this stuff does for any of you who may not be familiar with any of this, and to see if you might be interested in a Prime variant. And also, just at the end of the video, we'll show off real quick a build. I don't really do build videos, but there's a silly one I thought about doing a video for that I'm probably going to do a full video on, so we'll throw it on the end. So let's jump into the simulacrum. Alright, well first let's talk about Mesa. So her one ability is an interesting one in that you can get up to 100% and then unleash it, and then your next attack is going to do a lot more damage. Honestly, a lot of people don't really use it. Her 2 and 3 are abilities that I tend to keep on all of the time. Shooting Gallery and Shattered Shield respectively. Shooting Gallery is going to give a buff to Mesa's damage, and then also there's going to be a buff that's going to be sent off to another teammate, and it basically will share time. So if you have it lasting 50 seconds and 3 other people, it'll divide up that 50 seconds and jump between the 3 other people. The Shatter Shield does reduction of damage up to 90%, I believe, to ranged attacks. So these are 2 abilities I like to have on basically all of the time, and you do want to remember it's only on ranged attacks though. That is super important because, well, you can have a high level butcher just come up behind you and smack you down, which can be kind of annoying. And then there is her 4th ability, which is one of the best melting ones in the game. She gets out her regular sidearms and then just kill stuff. The longer you hold down the fire button, the more narrow the scope you can kind of see in the center of the screen will get, and also the more damage that she will do. So, pretty interesting. Now, Redeemer is an interesting weapon. I'm not going to show that off first. So, it is a weapon that we can swing around, and by the way, these are level 50 Corrupted Heavy Gunners. So, we can swing it around like a normal weapon. We can do all kinds of different attacks with it, and slide attacks, and all the fun stuff you would expect. But then we can also... Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do a stealth attack there. I meant... Here, let's face you guys so I don't do a stealth attack. Yeah, Let's do that. So let's use it as a shotgun. So we can do charge attacks and use it as a shotgun. So the Redeemer is a pretty cool weapon. It's something that a lot of people really enjoy, and we do bonus damage. We don't do bonus damage with our ranged weapons, but we do when the AI is paused in the simulacrum. But the fact that you can then use it also as a pretty powerful shotgun. This one I haven't, even though it's a very popular weapon, it's not one that I have really modded up much and done a lot with. I think I've only put one forma in it. So let's go ahead and reset these though and show off the Akjagara, because that is something that is probably the least used out of between Mesa and the Redeemer and then the Akjagara. This is probably the least used. And it's got one of my favorite reloads in the game. It's pretty cool. I like it. A lot of people don't really like how it fires, and it takes a little while to get used to. It's definitely a slash-based build, and we'll take a look at the different builds on it. But I really like this weapon, actually. I like the way it fires, and, well, I think you can do pretty decent damage with it, and you can see the bleed procs that we have going off there. But I'll show you why I'm doing pretty decent damage with it, because this is one of the few weapons I haven't really focused too much on picking up Rivens in the game, but this is one that I have picked one up for. So why don't we show that off real quick. Again, I haven't put much forma into this. I don't know if I really have it all, but I managed to pick up one that has a lot of multi-shot, a lot of damage, projectile flight speed, which isn't that important, and then minus critical chance. That may not seem that great, but the base critical chance on this weapon is very, very low. So if we take this off, we can see 6%. Now, some people might want to see that improved with the Prime version. Actually, I really don't care. I want to see maybe a higher status chance and higher damage. You can see it is a 5 out of 5 Riven disposition, though. I'm pretty happy with this. If you have a Riven that gives you more status chance or more critical chance, and then you also want to go with Prime Pistol Gambit, you can technically do a build that works with this that is kind of a hybrid build. But again, you basically have to have both of those to make it worthwhile to get a high enough critical chance. So I don't really mind this minus critical damage to the point where my critical hits almost do no more damage than the base ones, because this actually is pretty decently damaging even with just this many mods on it. So with this one, I went for a viral slash build because you can see the slash is pretty high. While there is impact and puncture, it's not completely slash. The slash is pretty high on it. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that maybe we even have a higher base status chance or something like that. And again, this is a build I haven't really played around with all that much. It is a weapon, in general, I didn't really put a potato in weapons as I was leveling up. Now I do it in a lot of my weapons, but I didn't for a while. But I did in this one because I really just enjoyed the weapon and the feel of it. And the Redeemer, you know what? I don't even think I have any real build on this thing. Yeah, I haven't really messed around with this one that much. So when you were looking at the shotgun damage, you might have not been impressed, but it is a very interesting weapon. I will show off the Mesa Prime build that I am using. Now this, I want to bear in mind, I don't do like expert builds. This is just what I happen to be using at the time. And a lot of people will go for way more strength in this build. Now I am not doing that with this build because what I'm really worried about here, if we look at the abilities, is I basically just want this Shatter Shield. Yeah, so I have 95% actually we can get up to. Once I've hit that 95% in my damage reduction, I am happy with it. You don't need a lot of power on this build. If you have a lot of power, you're going to be able to improve your Peacemakers and improve your fourth ability and do even more damage. But I would instead rather, for me personally, focus on efficiency because, like I said, I really want those abilities to be up all the time. But you're going to find a lot of different builds out there. And I still, even though I've played with this frame a whole lot, I've only formed it twice and I don't even have an Exilus slot on it. But there are different ways you can build it. You can definitely do more, and I have very few arcanes as well. You can definitely do have more power and things like that to improve your fourth ability. But with her, I'm not really worried about her range too much. Now, this technically does, there is a thing with the Shatter Shield where she can technically bounce some stuff back. She can do kind of a disarm on her too, I believe, as well. Let me look at it again real quick here. Yeah, jamming the guns of nearby enemies. So by having a lower range, I'm getting less of an effect on my shooting gallery where I'm jamming the gun of nearby enemies, and I'm not reflecting incoming bullets very far, so enemies have to be close in order to get that effect on Shatter Shield. But I find for me personally, I don't really need those bonuses. it's just something that can be useful. And I do want to point out she is known for using pistols. Her passives are dual wielded sidearms shoot faster, and single handed ones reload faster. And you also gain a bonus in your health if you're not using a melee weapon. So she is a very popular frame. She has a ton of damage reduction as long as you're not sitting in getting hit with melee weapons. She can be very tanky. She can do more damage and help the team do more damage. And her 4 just melts people. So you do get your own weapon with this. Again, this is not an expert build. I haven't formatted this at all. Haven't really done anything with it. This is what I have. It's not super high on anything. And actually, I now have primed pistol gamut. So I might need to, well, we'll do it on the prime one. But definitely I would suggest doing that and getting your critical damages or critical chance up higher. But one thing I will point out is I personally have found that while multi-shot and all this stuff is nice, I really like having rate of fire on this ability, and I've heard that from other players as well. So again, this is kind of a new player friendly build for her regulators that haven't really been formatted, and it isn't really using any expensive mods if you want to check it out. So overall, Mesa is one of my most played frames. She can be tanky as long as you're not taking melee damage. She can boost damage, and she can just melt stuff down with her 4, which is amazing. She has an augment as well that allows you to be able to move while using her 4. Some people really like it. I don't necessarily find it necessary. Obviously, I'm not using it on this build right now, where instead I'm going for just enough of power to get the maximum damage reduction, and I still have found her 4 a powerful enough ability that I don't really need any more power on it. You will be able to kill really high level stuff more quickly though if you obviously forma her regulators more and put more power on it. But there you go. That is what is coming out pretty soon here, and this is a Prime Access that I might be tempted to just buy the whole package because I'm very excited about all these things, and I think the Akjagara could be pretty fun. I will be interested in seeing what the upgrades are. Are they going to go higher critical chance or higher status, just more damage? What are they going to do with it to improve it? I definitely hope they go a little bit more damage just because I really want this gun to be good, and I want to enjoy my Riven. Again, it's not perfect. Added projectile flight speed isn't really that much, and the critical damage negative is obviously negative, but this is something that you're probably not going to build for crit damage unless in very, very specific situations. So there we go. That's what we're losing. That's what's coming out. You don't have to worry about the Chroma, Rubical, and Grand Prime stuff. You still be able to get those relics, but we talked about the Banshee, Helios, and Euphona relics going away, so get those soon if you want to. And if you want to hang out just for a couple more seconds, we will show off just one more thing. I was going to do a video on this. Now, this is kind of, I don't want to call it a meme build or a joke, but I really like Garuda, and they've made some improvements to Garuda now, where she can use like her 4 like while in the air and things like that. This is a frame I enjoy using a lot, but is not the tankiest, so I decided to do a stupid Umbral build, and I'll explain why. Now this is not recommended as high-end, you should use this build, but this is the build I decided to do. See, because basically, once you hit 200% strength in Garuda's power, then when using her 4, any damage after that will have a guaranteed bleed proc. So at 100%, there's a 50% chance. So when you hit 200, you basically will always do bleed damage on stuff after using your 4. So you can use your 4 and then use your 1 in combo. So what I really wanted to do is get to that 200% power strength and then just make her as tanky as possible, because I really wanted to take her on really high level missions. Now there are people out there, Brozim recently did a video on Garuda showing off a build that if you are a good player, if you're good at jumping around, firing in the air, always being active, moving, keeping your shield up in front of you to stop that damage, go check out that build. But if you just want something that I guess we'll call a lazy tank build, where I'm just trying to make her as tanky as possible, this is something I came up with, where, yeah, you can see that she has 960 armor and over 1,000 health. So if you're not as good a player as Brozime, this allows you to take her into missions where you can, I don't have to worry as much about her dying. I can more actively use the her ability to take damage in order to get more. And actually, let's unpause the AI here and then simulate. There we go. So this is a build for players like me that aren't necessarily amazing at staying alive, and we'll keep that up, and then we'll make blood altars. Now I like having range on Garuda. They did improve the blood altar range too, I believe. I do like having range, obviously, for doing things like that. However, Also, just the ability to be a little bit more tanky is something I enjoy. And like I said, you can do... oh, yep. Hang on. Let's get another shield up here. Let's get our blood altars going and show off. They definitely did do some improvements, like being able to hang in the air and use this ability, which is pretty awesome. So I really like Garuda. I like playing her, so I thought I would show off. There's just a silly build for those of you out there who maybe just... don't aren't good enough or don't want to put in the work into staying alive and just want to make her as tanky as possible. There are definitely things, and as you saw, I had the one what is it where I take damage and that adds to my health. So that between using this ability where I can take damage in order to get health back, and then the one where I'm getting more and more energy back as I take damage, I find that I have a lot of survivability with this build without me having to be a really excellent player. So I just figured I'd show that off. It's kind of a stupid Umbral tanky build for Garuda if you're, just not as talented a player as some of the other people out there. So hopefully you guys can, even if you don't think it's a good build, you can at least laugh at it. Hunter Adrenaline, I was trying to remember the name of. So, and then obviously you can, change this out. Corrosive Projection is interesting at high level missions. If you're going somewhere you're not worried about armor, with that dash you can slap on Energy Siphon or something like that. I don't know. I would need to figure out something else if I wanted to put in something in the Exilus slot or whatever, but it's a pretty tanky build, and while I'm missing out on everything else, having that 200 strength, as long as you can stay inside those healing bubbles and do some stuff, it's a build that lets me kill stuff and stay alive and not be all that good. Alright, so thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We will definitely have some content coming out. Hopefully I'll possibly doing a video on the first of the Orb Mothers and fighting that once we figure out how that's going to go and when that gets updated. And then, like I said, we'll definitely do some videos on Mesa Prime and Akjagara Prime and things like that. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we will talk to you again real soon.